Okay. Um, Barack Obama is the first black African American in United States history. So today I'm conducting an interview with the CCBC head librarian, Miss Erica Harris, about her memory about Obama historical presidential election of 2008 and what it means to her from the woman point of view. So good morning, Miss Harris. At first, would you please, give us some, a very brief introduction about yourselves?
About myself? Okay. As you said, I'm a head librarian here at CCBC Essex campus. I've been a librarian for, well, I guess going on close to 20 years now.
Yeah.
I've been the head librarian at CCBC for 3 years, and before that, I've worked in large public and academic library systems, mostly in Washington, D.C., D.C. Public Library, Georgetown, some part-time work with George Washington University some years ago.
Okay, well, great, okay. So looking back into February 2007, when Obama met a headline, he announced his candidacy for 2008, presidential nomination. So he was in political battle with the Senator of New York, Hillary Clinton, John McCain, and other politicians. So at this time, do you think he will be able to win over this candidate?
Well, you're asking me.
Do you think that he's going to win, over, Hillary Clinton and John McCain at that time? Do you think that
Did I think he was going to win?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. At that time, in the early stages of his candidacy, from the time that he announced, I was really hopeful, and I was glad to see an African American face in that presidential race, one that people would really take seriously, because there have been other African American candidates that have run for president, but their candidacy was more symbolic than it was an actual bid for that presidential seat. So I thought his chances in terms of making himself known to America as a politician and a leader were very, very good. I wasn't entirely convinced that America was ready.
Yeah.
But we know the outcome, and I'm so glad that we were.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, and he actually became the for president of the United States on 20 January 2009, right? Yeah. Okay. So Obama's father come from Kenya. His mother is a white American. And Barack Obama, he actually he grew up in
Indonesia, Hawaii.
Indonesia. Yeah, okay. So perhaps, he actually, somehow struggling with, the racial identity. So how do you think that's, his background and his experience in the past, okay? So have combined and make him as, a first, like, African American today?
Is the question more about, do I feel he's struggling with the racial identity now?
Yep.
No, I don't feel that way. I think he's totally comfortable with being, identified as an African American man, but also being identified as an African American multiracial man. I think he's totally comfortable with that. And I think that whatever he may have struggled with in terms of racial identity as a child or a teenager, it came to a point in his life where he became comfortable reconciling all of those racial identities. And I don't feel that he comes across as a person who struggles with it now or who's uncomfortable with it. And I think that, America putting him in the presidential seat sort of shows that we're comfortable with multiracial identities as well.
Yeah. Right. Because I think in the past he actually, some of the article they actually tell us, he actually struggling a little bit when he was a child. Yeah, and when he lived in Indonesia, he actually struggling a little bit with his racial identity and the separation of his, parents. So I think, probably, make a better him today, make him better, who is he today.
And plus, I think that having a childhood where he was able to live outside of this country and live sort of globally, it probably really expanded his perspective on what it means to be, a product of various cultures. So.
Right. Okay. So when President Obama was campaigning in 2008, his slogan is "Change we can believe in," and yes, we can. So most people feel that this slogan helped him to win the election, and we are ready to change. So from your point of view, until today, so what did Mr. Barack Obama had changed in the concern for the U.S. economy?
What do I think he's changed?
He has changed the economy, do you think?
I think that he inherited a very almost impossible situation. I think that he has done a lot to try and build consensus among other political leaders in Congress, and also, through the network of cabinet advisors that report to his administration. But I also believe that there is such a strong and defiant will of his opponents to not have him succeed, that they have sort of put that before the mission of helping the American people get through this economic crisis.
Yeah.
And that's the way I pretty much view it. And I don't think it was for lack of sincerity or want of improvement over the current economic conditions in the country that he hasn't fully succeeded on all of his programs and all of his plans. But I think that the opposition and the backlash has been so obstinate that if you're constantly fighting the political side, how are you getting to the point where you're actually making the decisions and implementing programs that will help us get through the economic crisis?
How about for the black community? Do you think that he actually did something, for the black African American in the United States? Some kind of, like healthcare, welfare, like that other people can,
I'm glad to see that he is continuing a mission of the government still creating a safety net for people who are impoverished. And, a lot of statistics out there will have people believe, and to some extent I'm sure that these statistics are accurate in the sense that, we've got a lot of, proportionately speaking, a lot of African Americans living in poverty. So if he is still trying to create programs that put back safety nets that may have been removed in previous conservative administrations, that will help the black community by default for people who are in those economic brackets. For middle-class African Americans, I think that what his presidency more or less represents is just like a cultural change in terms of power and recognition of, how capable African Americans can be in leadership positions. So I think just his presence alone does a lot of good for the African American community. I think the programs of what he's trying to do across the board benefit us based on what our status is,
Okay.
And it's sort of kind of like benefit by default,
Yeah. Okay. So, do you believe that he's going to be re-elected the next election?
I do.
Do you believe that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Harris, for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I see that?
Yeah.